Welcome to the Sports Card Talk Show. Sports Card Talk Show with Kevin Anderson and Lauren Walker, the Skull Brothers.
All right, welcome to episode 186 of the Sports Card Talk Show. We have a Friday night interview tonight. I'm going to do a solo intro right now. Lauren is scrambling to get home from work, and then we're going to get our guest dialed up. Super excited tonight. We have John Newman from Sports Card Nation coming on. Always a blast talking with him. Got a couple great topics. I'm looking forward to getting him on the line. Man, it's the Friday before National. We're excited. This is going to be our first one, Lauren and I. We're going to be down Thursday to Sunday, attending the show Friday and Saturday. If you're there and you see us, come say hi. We're going to be looking for all kinds of people. We know several that are going. We're staying with several people that we've been good friends with for a while now. So yeah, we're excited for that. Before we get started, we had a couple shout outs. We haven't done this for a little while, and I'm trying out a couple new things on StreamYard. So let's see how this goes. Not sure if I can talk over it or not, but I'll try. We got two of them today, one on Instagram and one on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter. They both do a little bit of everything, but those were the two. I'll just talk about them real quick here. The first one was JSpot Hawaii on Instagram, also Hawaii Action Figure Guy. He started this personal blog, and the spot for his slabs and one-touch collection, and each card has a story. I've been really digging that. Shows a card and has a whole little write-up about it. That's a lot of fun. Check it out if you're over on Instagram. Great guy, and just enjoy what he's doing over there. Then, of course, House of Cards. We've had him on the show. We've had Jason on the show too, JSpot Hawaii. But just saw a big PSA reveal he did. Just TTMs, repacks, box openings, box battles. There's 4 of them that get together and do lives. And I think they're all going to be at the National. So looking forward to running into those guys. But yeah, so those are the shout outs. I think I'm going to dial up Lauren and John Newman. Don't know if I can do Lauren's little ring-a-ling-ding-dong. Let's get him dialed up. All right, we got everybody dialed up. We got Lauren finally made it home from work. He's that way. And we got Mr. John Newman joining us today. How you doing today, John?
What's going on, guys? Well, glad to be back, man.
Yeah, we're glad to have you.
Thanks for making the phone call, Kev. And hey, John.
Well, I heard the ring-a-ding-ding-dong. I had to answer the darn thing. So.
There you go.
Here we are.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on. I know everybody's ramping up for National, and we just had some things on our mind, and we're like, man, let's get John on. I think it'd be a great few things that we're going to talk about. And but why don't you take 1 second, kind of remind everybody what you're doing and where to find you and all that fun stuff.
All right, I'll keep it as short and sweet as I can. Fridays, Sports Card Nation, our podcast. That's a interview show that you guys have been on yourself, and we interview somebody every week. That comes out on Fridays. It's a little bit of a longer in length show, hour and a half, between an hour and a half. On Mondays, Hobbyquickhits. That's every Monday, and that's just me, one topic and a lot shorter, anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes max. And we do have a new show. I'll plug it. It's hasn't been done yet. We're just we're planning it. It's going to start after the National in August. It's going to be once a month, the second Friday every month, 9:30 p.m. It's going to be basically the live version of Sports Card Nation, but we're going to call it Breaking Cardboard. And the premise of the show is it's going to be 3 people. It's going to be me. I'm going to have one guest host. It's going to be someone different every week and one guest. And so it's going to be sort of a 2-on-1 sort of live, interview show with the chat room. Anyone wants to ask questions, that sort of thing. And it was born because, I get asked, like, hey, you ever John, we enjoy Sports Card Nation, but what about the live version? We've done a couple live Sports Card Nations, like for our episode 100. We did one as part of Hobby Palooza. And people are like, how about something, just once, not part of like an event or some kind of celebration of stuff. And I knew I couldn't do it every week. I knew that was not going to happen. I just don't. We'll talk about balance and all that, but I knew I wasn't going to do that. So I said, you know what? Pick a Friday. We'll keep it on a Friday, and we'll do it once a month. So I went with the second Friday. We'll see how it goes. I'm not, if it goes well, we'll keep doing it. If it don't, I'll get canceled. So
Sure.
So that's coming next month. You can find us on any platform that plays podcasts, and as far as social media stuff, if you Google Sports Card Nation Podcast, all different individual words, Sports Card Nation Podcast, all our stuff will come up. We do have a new website. I do want to plug that very quickly.
Yeah,
it's www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Finally got our own domain and launched we had a website. I want to say it's completely new, but we just moved everything over to there, and it's a little bit cleaner, has a little more functionality, and really kind of liking the new digs in website land. So
awesome. Yeah, I think I saw you post that. I'm like, I got to get on that and check that out.
Yeah, and you can search. One of the things I like about that new website is you can search by people's names. So you can look up your names, and you can click on your name under guest, and your episode will come up. And then you're on a future one, it'll list them all. And so whatever one someone wants to find, they can easily find it. So, it's kind of neat functionality. You can leave reviews. There's a voicemail button if someone wants to leave an actual voicemail. One thing I want to start doing is maybe a little bit more Q&A with people who listen to the show. And if they want to hear themselves on the show and ask a question, it's a great opportunity to go that route. So
yeah,
well, that's neat.
Awesome.
So yeah, you don't even have to take a phone call directly. You can just play their voicemail on the
and then respond to it.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, great stuff, man. And speaking of it, you kind of mentioned it. Is one of the things we were talking about is finding balance, and it's finding balance in with everything we do. One of the things that Lauren and I kind of decided is we dialed it back a bit for the summer here. Well, actually, it started when I took vacation in April, and we just haven't been able to jumpstart ourselves like we did at one point. We'll get there in the fall again. I think we're going to get past national, and we're going to enjoy a couple things. But just thought it was great because I know you're doing a lot of stuff, and just kind of touch base with you about finding balance between life and work and family and the podcast and the card collecting and the hobby and the connections and the trying to support others in the hobby. Everything that goes into it. It sometimes creeps up on you.
Yeah, it can consume you. I call it a monster. It can get you sometimes if you're not careful. I've seen it. I did a show about addiction or obsession, and cards can fit in that category just like anything else, right? And you got to be careful. It happens, kind of sneaks up on you, and then, like a lot of things, you don't even realize that you're consumed by it. It's other people saying, "Man, I don't see you here. You're not, you're always in your, you're always recording, or you're always doing this, or, you got to find balance. Sometimes easier said than done, but, like you said, you took kind of a step back. You kind of self-diagnosed, right? Yep. I think you need to do that sometimes. I think you need to, dial it back. There's nothing wrong with that. I've said this too. Sometimes even maybe I'm not going to do a show this week. I'm just going to take the week off. We usually do that for Sports Card Nation probably 2 times a year, maybe 3. Christmas week, I'll just say, hey, we're not doing the show Friday. Enjoy time with your families, right? But I think you got to just prioritize, right? You got to know, like, hey, if your dad My spouse and my kids are always going to come before piece of cardboard or doing a show, whatever platform it is. And, you got to just keep that in mind. If God forbid there's an emergency, that's obviously got to come first before, hey, I got to do my show this week. People understand that. People who listen to our shows and watch our shows, and like you guys, they're humans too. They get it, right? So if you say, hey, something came up at home, can't go into the details, but we're not going to be able to do a show this week. We'll be back. Everything goes well, we'll be back next week, right? People understand that. I think as long as you communicate that, I think where a content creator can get in trouble, Kevin and Lauren, is when you don't say you're not going to do one. People kind of expect that. It's like the newspaper, right? In the morning, right? You open that door and you expect it to be on that welcome mat, right? And then you open that door, like, where's the paper? And it's not there, right? And you're like, hey, man, I get, you're calling up the newspaper, like, where's my paper today? Right?
Our newspaper here in town, the Duluth News Tribune, actually got canceled last year because of the pandemic, and I delivered it for 7 years. And there'd be days where I always delivered the paper, always, until we had 1 year where I couldn't even get out of my alley for 3 days because we absolutely got dumped on. But there was days that 2 feet of snow would slow me down. And there'd be customers that would open their door and not see their paper yet, and actually occasionally call in and complain. And and I would always show up. They eventually, like after 7 years of it, they knew that no matter what, I was going to get them their paper. But there's a certain that whenever you're doing the papers in 2 feet of snow, you'd be like going, how did you open your door and you saw 2 feet of snow and assumed that I was still going to get your paper normal time.
Yeah. We're creatures of habit, guys, right? Yeah. We expect what we get used to something, and that's what we kind of expect of. It's not a bad thing. We you know what I mean? We're creatures of habit. So, but I think if we communicate, hey, there's going to be no Sports Card Nation. Me and Lauren are not going to have a show this week. Here's why, and give as many details as you can. I mean, can't. Some things are private when it comes to family stuff. But letting someone knows, right? I think where content creators get in trouble is when they just don't do it and they don't, let people know. And it's the least you can do. People making time out of their lives to consume your content. The least you can do is when you're not going to produce something, is let them know why and what's going on, and they appreciate that. And so the few times a year that we don't have a Sports Card Nation, we always let people know what week that's going to be. Sometimes 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Like I'll say, hey, on the 23rd we're taking a week off, and I'll say it every week leading up to them. You know what I mean? So people understand. That we're human. We need a break. Sometimes it don't even have to be anything pressing. Sometimes it's just like, hey, I don't want to do it. Right. I want to take you do something too much, right? You don't enjoy it. And then when it comes not enjoyable, then you get into that danger zone, right? Where you're going through the motions. Someone asked me, John, how will you ever know, like, you don't want to talk about the hobby or do content creation anymore? And I said, it'll be very easy for me. It's when I go to do a show, whatever one of them it is, and I'm literally have zero, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm just kind of almost like, I hate to say it like this because many people enjoy the job, which I do too. But, if you have a choice, someone says, hey, we're going to pay you the same, whether you come into work or you don't come into work. Most people are going to say, all right, I'll stay home, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like work. So if it becomes where it's really like it's work, what we do is a labor of love. You guys know that. Don't. Some people who aren't into content creation may not realize that. It's hard to unless you do it. But when it just becomes a labor and there's no love, that's when I'll know you're done. Meaning me, you know what I mean? So I don't foresee it happening. And part of the way to avoid it happening is to know to take that week off or take some decompress time, whatever way you do it, right? But family's got to come first. I know it's the old cliche line, but it's cliche because it's true, right? Long after the microphones and the cameras go dark and silent, our family's going to still be there. And so we need to reciprocate that as well. For me, my son's 21 and he's, he works, he's got his own license, he's got a girlfriend. So he's in and out, sometimes not home very much. And, it allows me the freedom to do a lot of the things I get to do, honestly. If he was 10 or 11 again, when, I was coaching and going to those football games and baseball games, I've said that on my show. If my son was younger, I probably wouldn't be doing content creation. I'm blessed with a wife who's always let me kind of do whatever I need to do, whether it be the hobby, selling, playing softball, coaching. When my son was younger, she's supportive, and she doesn't know anything about cards, but she supports me because I enjoy it. So.
Right. Same.
Family's got to come first. Take time off when you need it. About once every 6 weeks, guys, even past content creation, as crazy as it sounds, I'll take a whole weekend where, I won't even pick up a card. I'll take 2 days. And other than like sales that I have to get out because I want, someone buys something, I want to get them this, people want their stuff. Other than that exception, there are weekends, probably once every 5-6 weeks, where I'm like, I'm not touching cards. I'm not going to do anything with cards. I'm just going to sit on my deck with a drink and a cigar. I'm going to go fly my drone, whatever, something else, right? So I'm just not all cards all the time, right? For me. Now, again, I've done this a long time, like 30-something years. If I'm maybe newer, I probably wouldn't feel like I needed a break. And everyone's different. Everyone has a different personality. So what works for me, someone else say, I don't like that, right? We each have our own ways of doing things and approaches.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think we covered that pretty well. Obviously you did, it's kind of how we've been feeling and just wanted to get another person's take on it. We're going to transition to the next topic, but we're going to take 1 second, and I got to fix the light. So the next thing that we kind of messaged you about to think about, and there's so much stuff going around about, well, the hobby is going down, or it's, I don't know how to just feel. I feel a lot of negativity, and I'm like, well, I just don't feel like it's like that, really. Obviously, it's cooled off. I would say maybe that, but I didn't.
Well, the thing, like you're saying, Kevin, it seems like things have cooled off, or people are saying it's cooled off, but you still can't find retail anywhere. And the Nationals sold out. So which one is it,
It's the 2 C words, right, guys? Right? It's correction or crash. Now,
Right.
Depending on who you talk to, right, they'll give you a different answer. Some will say crash, some will say correction. If you ask me, I'll tell you, really, does the terminology really matter? It's really percentages, right? And so what we're looking at here is probably, to put a percentage on it, things have went down probably 30-40%. But like Lauren just said, you can't find the hobby's still strong. Wax is still selling out at very high rates. And the National is, like Lauren just pointed out, you can only buy single day tickets at this point. And to my knowledge, it's the first time that's ever happened. So we have a lot of new people in the hobby. I think that's a good thing. I know other people frown upon that. A lot of the old curmudgeons, which I could be an old curmudgeon, but I'm just like, hey, for this hobby to thrive and last past us, right? We have to have those new folks come in. Like, we're not Shirley MacLaine. We don't have 9 lives and live forever. So we got to have those next group of folks come up behind them. That's why kids in the hobby is such a hot button topic for me and important. But that's a whole nother segment. We won't go down that road. But
Sure.
But there's a correction in place for sure. We're seeing prices drop significantly. But here's the thing: I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I shut off my buying for 6 weeks. Maybe bad timing there, but it's really a great opportunity to buy some stuff on this dip. Like the old saying goes, right? Buy the dip, and if you're someone who buys and sells, I have my Newman sports card side that I've had since I did my first show at 15 years old. The saying is buy the dip, sell the high, right? Like stock market. And right now it's the dip. So if you're not doing what I'm doing and turned off the buying because of the National coming up and plan to try to buy some stuff there, if you haven't done that, most people probably don't do that. That's sort of different. Now's a great opportunity to get some steals. Now, listen, that being said, a little disclaimer here. Just because a lot of stuff went down, folks, doesn't mean it's automatically ever going back up again. Some of the stuff that's went down is going to stay where it is, and then other things will rise again. And that's for us as a market and a hobby community to figure out. I don't know. I can give you my opinion on what those might be, but that's all it is. It's all speculation, right? I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a time machine and then go with Dr. Emmett Brown, 5 years ahead and come back and say, hey, buy this. Right? It'd be nice. It'd be nice. But you know what? If that was the case, I'd probably just be doing sports gambling and betting all the World Series and Super Bowl winners. But it's a good even when it's dipped, we knew, we sort of could see this coming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make the show into politics because I don't think it should be, but what happens in real time affects the hobby, right? We had a lot of that extra money from stimulus package. People were home from work, getting paid, working from home and with their computers open and 10 tabs, right? They had their Microsoft Excel page open for work, and then they had eBay, StarStock, Sport Lots, all the other things that the hobby related to. And so we had more people with more eyes on cards, surplus money with stimulus packages. Then people who were in unemployment were getting a $600 bonus in addition to their unemployment check. And we got 3 of those stimulus packages. Well, right now, those have stopped. I'm not saying there potentially could be another one, depending on how numbers trend. But right now, there's no more stimulus and no more, probably not one that's imminent. And people are getting back to work as more people get vaccinated. And I don't want to make this to be the Dr. Fauci economic hour, right? But that's but honestly, guys, as you guys know, what happens out there, I talk like the hobby's kind of our little secret. What happens out there, right? It's like The Village, M. Night Shyamalan, is going to affect what happens in here in the hobby. And I think we're seeing that now as people go back to work. And here's the other thing. Things are opening, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's back to work, but I think it's also, there's things to do.
Yeah, restaurants
my daughter and my daughter,
theaters.
Yeah, exactly. My daughter and sister just went to a local movie night. It's out in the park, and jam-packed. Yep.
It's outdoors. Concerts have started. Concerts are back.
Yeah,
we had our first concert here at our amphitheater here in Syracuse. And so they're releasing the schedule for the rest of the summer into the fall, and so things are getting back to normal, which is good. I'm not complaining. Obviously, we want to get back to normal, but that to say that's not going to affect the hobby and the price levels and the transactions taking place, you're fooling yourself.
John,
100% is.
I don't think anything you just said was political at all. I think that you just spoke facts about.
People don't like, but Lawrence, some people don't like like some people want the hobby to be insulated, like almost like, it's our thing and no one knows about it. It's like an underground, it's like Fight Club, right? There are no rules. There is rules. They're called economic rules, and so no, I didn't get political as far as mentioning names and stuff
No,
like that.
Sure.
But gas has gone up, and now there's more competition for our hobby dollar, right? People before, they didn't have really much choice. The movies were closed. There were no rock concerts. You couldn't go. The restaurants at first closed. Then some of them offered just takeout, and so now those things are all open full bore, and so that money is going back into those places, and not into the hobby exclusively, or as much as it did. It was the perfect storm. You had stuff closed, and you had people getting, free government money, myself included. Let's be real, and the hobby was one of the biggest benefactors of it. And then what happened? The hobby started making the news, right? You're seeing it on NBC, CBS.
Everything.
Then you're seeing it on financial networks as cards break auction records, right? And then people who used to collect, like, hey, are my cards still in my mom's attic? When I went, I'm going to go look, right? I think I might have $1 million card in there. I just watched CNBC. They talked about $1 million card, right? And the buzz just crescendoed. And it's like a snowball rolling downhill, right? It just gets just bigger and bigger. Then other people are like, hey, I used to collect cards. It's cool again. I'm coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I start? And so we had that perfect storm for the hobby. And it just exploded, man. It just shot through the stratosphere. I don't care whether you watch TV, online, there was a hobby story on channels that normally wouldn't run hobby stories. It was cool. Now we see, a lot more athletes, actors on the platforms, holding cards, collecting cards, opening boxes. And again, it was cool again. And now we see stuff kind of come back to normal. Some people are going to stay, and let's be real, some people are going to leave very quickly. As quick as they came in, a percentage of them are going out the same door again, because the waters have cooled off. Then some people come into the hobby just dollar signs, right? I can buy this for $5 on Monday and sell it for $25 on Tuesday. It's why wouldn't you? I don't even blame those people.
no.
If I'm walking on the sidewalk and there's a $20 bill on the ground, who's not really picking that up, right? So why I don't blame those folks, like especially in today's day and age. And so, those folks are going to probably, some of them, not all of them, some of them that are just in it for financial purposes only are going to probably leave because that 500% ROI is not there anymore, as we just spoke about. And so if they leave, I don't want anyone to leave, but if you're an adult, or it don't matter whether you're an adult, that's your decision to make. I'm not talking to to do with it, but if that's what you decide to do, I'm sorry to see you go, but I'm still going to be in the hobby until I'm not here anymore, most likely. And hopefully that's later rather than sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see some people leave, and that too is going to affect transactions, right? When you get less people involved, there's going to be less transaction, right? It's like a stadium. You got a full sellout, that crowd's going to be loud and obnoxious, right? You got a half full stadium or 3/4 full stadium, it's still going to be fun, but it's going to be maybe less decibel level, and less transactions at the concession stand, less beer and hot dog sales. And so the hobby, I use the sports microcosm there, but I think the hobby is going to be along those terms, right? Less people, and I know the national is sold out, and that's a good thing, and that's because a lot of people are still here, made their their travel arrangement, bought their tickets. But I think the next year or two, guys, is going to be really, really, really interesting to see where we're going. as a hobby.
Right. Speaking of the National, I guess that's kind of like the last thing that we were going to, chat about a little bit. It's Lauren and I's first opportunity to go. Well, not our first opportunity, but our first time that we're going. We're both super excited to go. I think Lauren is excited to go, right, Lauren?
Oh, I'm jacked, dude. Me and you've talked, and both of us have even discussed that we're not even. I don't know if I'll buy a card. And whenever I saw the floor of the place, I come from small town North Dakota, and that there'll be more people in that building than the town that I grew up in, and that's terrifying to me. But I've gotten to an age where crowds don't appeal to me. I used to love going to rock shows. Now I could live with or without going to a rock show the rest of my life. I love rock and roll, but going to concerts, I think more about, you got to the parking and standing up and how bad my back hurts at the end of it. And, I think about all the negatives of it, and it kind of ruins the experience of the rock. Like, I love it, but I don't want to do. It's like I automatically go into this mindset of what is going to suck about it instead,
Sure. So really, John, you've been there, and I know we've talked a little bit about it, and I know you have exciting thing that you're going to be up on that stage there, and I don't know, why don't you talk a little bit about what you're looking forward to? I know you kind of talked about bringing this all together, and I think this is we kind of have, you talked about dialing it back on the spending for the last 6 weeks in anticipation of going and all that fun stuff. Why don't you just touch base a little bit about what you're looking forward to and what you're hoping to gain from it?
Well, I'm from small town New York City, and there won't be more people in the show than is in New York City. No, I'm just kidding with Lauren there. But it's true. He makes a good point. With that being the case, like, it probably is like, holy crap, right? Mm-hmm. And it's going to be packed. I mean, it's packed. And what I always say, I call the National guys, it's the Super Bowl of the hobby. Someone asked me, I was on another show in 2019. I was on Eric Norton's Fat Packs, and he asked me, John, how would you describe the National, being here? And I said, listen, it's easy, right? It's if it isn't here, it probably doesn't exist. I mean, there's going to be some crazy cards there, man. There's going to be, you're going to see probably unopened 1952 Topps pack. There's going to be an Honus Wagner T206. There's going to be other famous, scarce rarity cards. There's going to be 3 different auction houses, right, or more. They're going to have some Grail cards with literally you're going to see armed security guards in the corporate area. Like, just watch. I remember, like, I'm an honest guy and good guy. I'm not going to steal nothing, right? So I'm walking through these show, these stand-up cases, and I'm just admiring these cards that I know well from being in the hobby a long time. Not that I'd ever own one, but just even being that close to one, just a pretty cool moment. Yeah. And I could see, the guy in the 3-piece suit who probably had a sidearm under his, side panel there, just staring me down, just waiting for any false move, right? And probably these armed guards, I'm a venture guess, many of them don't even know anything about the cards individually. They just know that's very expensive, and my job is to prevent any funny business from going down. And so it's going to be scenes like that, right? You're going to have everyone in the hobby there, from manufacturers, Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, all the grading card companies, all the offshoot producers that make, cases for graded cards, slab protectors. I mean, if anyone, if you're anything in the hobby, you're going to be there. Obviously, a lot of the content creators, such as ourselves, will be there as well. And so it's just that it's where everybody comes together for a week, and for a lot of it is going to be just meeting people, like you guys said, right? It'll be the once a year event where everyone's there and can get together and meet people. Sometimes for the first time, like in our case, and then next year we'll meet for the second time, right? We'll meet people again, and so it's almost like a party, right? You know the date. So and so is going to be there. I'm going to get to talk to them, shake hands, chit chat, do this, Then you got the stuff outside, the show, from restaurants to the Cubs and White Sox both have home stands that week as well, and some people will partake in that. You got trade nights, you got corporate parties, and so it's just one big. It's the Mardi. I call it the Super Bowl, the hobby, and I think I'm going to call it the Mardi Gras for sports cards too. Right? It's just going to be one big party for a week, and it's fun. I look forward to it. I wasn't sure where I was going to go this year because of the pandemic and financial aspects, and it worked out that our numbers started trending better, and so here we are. And one of my favorite things about the show, guys, is, and I'm not just saying this, is going to be to get to meet you guys and other folks as well. And I think I think that can't be that can't be belittled too much. That is a fun time. The tagline of my show is "The hobby is the people," and it really is. And getting to meet everybody, and I'm if you know anything about me, we all have different ego. Anyone says they don't have an ego is not telling the truth. But I try to be as modest as I can. And I went to the Dallas show, and 3 or 4 people came up to me and said, "Hey, are you John Newman from Sports Card Nation?" And I said, "Yep." And extended a hand. "Hey, I love your show." And I had some stickers and some swag I gave them. And it's those moments like that just really fun. You get to talk to people face to face. And I'm a people guy, so I love that stuff. When I was a kid, I was definitely shy. I sort of outgrew that, thankfully, and there's going to be no shortage of what to do, depending on how long you're there for. And this is for everyone listening. You got, if you're there, I'm there for the entirety, so you get a little more leeway to not be as rigid schedule, because I'm going to be there the whole time. But if you're only going for a day, 2 days, 3 days, you definitely sort of want to kind of come up with a game plan to what you want to do. If you're there 2 or 3 days, maybe make a day where that whole day is just meeting people. Hey, let's meet here. Let's go to lunch there. Let's do dinner here, whatever, right? We got trade night. And then, take another day where you get to see the show. The one thing you don't want to miss is the show, right? Hey, man, I talked to all my buddies, and I only walked half the floor, right?
Right.
And so you want to avoid that. What the first one I went to, I was only there 3.5 days, and that was my big fear. I did cover all the ground, but I had to really, that last day which was for me was Saturday, because I left Sunday morning real early. I made a point, like Saturday morning when I woke up, took my shower, I'm like, I haven't even seen half this show floor yet. Today's got to be about that. Otherwise I'm coming back to New York and thinking, man, I didn't see, people are going to be talking about this and this and this. I didn't even see that. I was there. So you come up with a sort of a game plan, even if it's a rough one you can kind of pivot off of. But you want to sort of have something, hey, I'm going to do this, and one. You can change it up and sort of fly by the seat of your pants, but you definitely want to have, you kind of don't, especially if you're only there for 1 day, 2 days, or even 3 days, you want to sort of have an itinerary, even a rough draft of one.
Right. Perfect. I think what we'll do is, why don't you talk about, you're going to be sharing the stage with somebody on Thursday. Why don't you talk about that, and then we'll start bringing this to a close. I know that we talked about everybody having up against the wall today. So I'm one of them.
Yeah. Thursday, thank you for setting that up on the tee for me here. 1:00 Central Time, which is Chicago time. Myself and Brody the Kid, who's a content creator himself and a great young man, 13 years old, and gotten to know him for almost 3 years now, and doing things at his age that when I was that age and I was in the hobby at that age, obviously social media wasn't around then. But
Right.
even if it was, I wouldn't be able to do what he's doing. And he's super intelligent, loves the hobby, great advocate, great ambassador for his age bracket, and even adults. I mean, I love what he does, and I'm going to have him on stage with me. That's 1 to 1:30. We're going to talk about. He's a veteran. I think he's probably been, believe it or not, to more nationals than me, even though I'm 4 times his age or whatever, 3 point something times his age, and gotten to know him. He's got great. I know his parents. He's a great kid. He's top. He was Top's kid spokesman, Top's head of the class. He's done a lot of stuff with even the other companies as well. Just loves the hobby, and I love people who love the hobby because I love the hobby. I'm going to gravitate towards those type of folks, right? And so, from an first time I saw what Brody was doing, I reached out and said, "Hey, man, keep it up. You're doing awesome stuff, and to do it at your age is even an inspiration to an old guy like me." And we struck up a friendship. He's obviously been on the show. He's part of Hobbyhotline now, and just wise beyond his years. And so we're going to cut it up on the stage. He just got over. Well, he's still dealing with an illness that he'll deal with the rest of his life. Put him out of commission for a couple weeks, and be great to see him in person. And we'll talk about some content creation stuff and the hobby and the national. And there might be one other surprise. I can't give out any other details. We're going to make somebody's day. If everything goes well, kind of towards the end of that conversation and our time on stage, we're going to make another young man's day as well. That's the plan. Awesome. And so I'll tell you guys off the air. I don't want to say it.
Yeah, don't do it now.
But it's going to be a fun half hour. It's going to be a fun show, and you guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there as well. And I'll say it, for your first time, whatever and this goes for other people watching or listening. If it's your first time coming to national, whatever you think it is, and that's what we do as humans, right? We in our mind, we envision it even before we get there, and it's going to be bigger. It's going to be bigger than that, and I think even more so this year because of the fact is last year's got canceled, and so all these corporate companies they want to get back on the horse. Things are going back to normal. I think it's just going to be maybe one of the greatest nationals ever in terms of participation and vibe. And people, we're not out of the pandemic. I don't want to talk as if we're out of it, but we're as close to out of it as we've ever been since it started. And I think people see the light sort of now at the end of the tunnel, and they're excited for that. And it's going to be a fun vibe, I think, in that room, in the city of Rosemont. Where the national is, and if you're not having fun there, you're doing something wrong. That's all I can tell you. And I look forward to seeing you guys and a lot of other people, and just enjoying the hobby, enjoying folks, and having a good time.
Yeah, we're excited to see you too, John, and can't thank you enough for coming on today. Felt like we had a great conversation, and we always appreciate your input and your thoughts on everything. It's been a blast.
Yeah, I'm looking at the time that we've been on, and it just doesn't. It always the time just flies.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, I have that effect, I think. Either that or like, what? Come on, when is this thing over? It's one or the two. It's nothing in between. So,
I think. Why don't you just tell everybody your website again? I think that's a great place to go. You're going to find everything you need to know about you at that new website you got rolling.
Yeah, real simple. www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. All one word, no spaces. No capitalization, just sportscardnationpodcast.com. I almost gave that out wrong. sportscardnationpodcast.com. You can leave me a voicemail, an email. I answer every message, even if it's not a good one. I'll answer. I'm not going to tell you what I say back, but I will answer.
You will answer.
But all joking aside, no. If someone takes their time out of their day to message me, I feel like I owe them that much in return, and so I do answer. Part of that little tease I gave about what might happen at the end of that Brody interview on stage comes from a message I received via that website. Okay. So I'll just, in addition, and if anyone has any questions about, I'm not an expert. Please don't. I'm not trying to come across that way. But if you have any questions, if I can answer where I know the answer, I'll gladly help anybody out. So,
100%. Well, why don't you hold on the line for 1 second here? We'll bring it to a close. Lauren, we don't usually do this separate, so.
Skull Brothers out.